Hello, BookTube. There comes a time in every booktuber's life when, for the first time ever, they host an event. It's a major turning point, a coming of age, as it were. And Vin over at Revenant Reads is having his very own book mitzvah at the end of 2021. He is hosting his first BookTube event. It's called Book Trek 21, the 5-month journey. And it is designed to celebrate Star Trek fiction. All the different ramifications, all the different iterations of Star Trek fiction. And we're setting it up along fairly basic parameters. I am one of the co-hosts, along with Gina Stanyer of Gina Stanyer Books, and Michael K. Vaughan. It's BookTube bylaws. It's not anything that we had a choice about. If you have any kind of a read-along or buddy read or marathon or book event of any kind, Michael K. Vaughan has to be involved. I think BookTube collectively is trying to wear him out. And, of course, if you're going to have an event that involves Star Trek, you have to have me and Mark Richardson of Richardson Reads. So that is your band of merry hosts. And the event is very simple. It is designed to, really, for shameless self-indulgence, just to get all the rest of us to read Star Trek. We encourage you to do it, too. To read Star Trek by iteration, month by month, starting in August with Star Trek, the original series, with the original Star Trek, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Then in September, right around the time when the weather gets gloomy and everybody has to trudge back to school, fittingly enough, it will be Star Trek, the Next Generation, where you find a Next Generation novel that you want to read, and if you're a booktuber, make a video about it. And keep in mind, the whole time that you're doing this, you are perfectly free. You are, in fact, enthusiastically invited to rewatch episodes, rewatch any pertinent movies, rewatch whatever you like in the visual medium, and also talk about that. Then in October, we do Deep Space Nine, where Star Trek went global, where it went intergalactic, where suddenly it wasn't the cloistered bridge of one ship. As Deep Space Nine moves into the fullness of its confidence in its own format, it really becomes a series about the Federation, and not just one space station. And then we're up to now, November, will be Star Trek Voyager, where one Starfleet vessel is catapulted 70,000 light years across the galaxy and into totally unknown territory, and has to make their way back to the Federation, which will take, their initial estimates are that it will take 70 years, far longer than most of the people on board will be alive. And Voyager, like Deep Space Nine and like The Next Generation, and certainly like the original Star Trek, spawned 1 million novels. So there's lots of stuff out there for you to choose from. You go to your local used bookstore, you're bound to find something. And then we'll finish out the year in December with Star Trek Enterprise, the franchise that decided to look back at a generation before Kirk and Spock, at the very beginnings of Starfleet and the very beginnings of the Federation. And since Star Trek Enterprise was canceled before it could get to 7 seasons, there aren't as many novels, but there are still plenty for you to read. And there's, as obviously, if you know anything about Star Trek, you know that leaves plenty of other Star Trek. Book Trek has many future forms that it can take. But for 2021, to ring out the rest of the year, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be Star Trek fiction and Star Trek ruminations just in general throughout the rest of the year. So I will leave links to all of my co-hosts. It's a great batch of Star Trek people, whether it's people who really know the series, people who really, really know the series, people who really, really know the books. I'd be willing to bet there aren't more than 5 or 6 Star Trek books that I haven't read in any franchise, in any iteration, in any decade. And long before there were Star Trek books, I was reading tons and tons of Star Trek fan fiction. And then all the way to the other end of the spectrum, Gina Stanyer has in her announcement video, mentions that she's not even sure she's seen all the movies, much less watched all the episodes, and certainly has never read a book. So you have a wide spectrum of viewpoints for this 5-month-long event. And as you know, Vin is the first to point out, most Star Trek novels are what he calls comfort food. They're not really demanding. Let's just say that. They're not really demanding. They trade the assumption that you know a lot about the sort of world and characters. They trade a lot of that weight for propulsive TV script type feel. So they're not taxing. These novels are not taxing to read. You might want to read one, and you can feel free to read more than one. I have a feeling that I'll be talking about Star Trek novels a lot, not just one video a month. It tends to be the way things go on this channel. I can't wait. It'll be a lot of fun. I mean, it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, those of you who've been watching this channel for any length of time will know it'd be a lot of fun for me to talk Star Trek with Mark anyway. but now there's other voices added in, and that's just wonderful. So mark it on your calendars: August, September, October, November, and December. The really canonical iterations of Star Trek: the original series, the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. Feel free to do some reading there, and I will be making recommendations as well, in case you don't have any idea where to start. So I thought I'd add this announcement video to the list that you'll be seeing in your subscription queue. We're going to end out the year with lots of Star Trek. Lots of Star Trek talk. It's going to be lots of fun. I am a dyed-in-the-wool, card-carrying Star Trek fan, so I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.